Hey everyone, how are you beautiful people doing? Let's talk about flat Earth and UFOs and how people perceive things and how your eyeballs work, how your brain works, your blood system, your purity of perception, of mind, of intent, of focus, the infinite landscape of the mind. And basically, where I'd like to start this is because there's this um, pernicious belief system within, well, the dual system that is even what is the Earth is a globe, and then no, the Earth is flat. Let me try to explain it to everyone this way. Okay, certainly, as far as we can see here, it seems to be almost certainly that the Earth is flat. While that might be true, and there's a better way of looking at it too, that I'll draw a picture of it in the future for you. And Grim Nasty did a great job of illustrating what the Kabbalah is really as an alchemical retort. And let me explain it a couple ways before I get into the UFO thing. We live in a sphere, not on a sphere. We live inside of what is a ball, with a flat plane beneath us. But the confusing part here is what is outside of that ball? What is outside of the dome? What is outside of, if there is one, let's just say this. And what are UFOs? And what are the lights coming into this existence here? And how are our eyes perceiving things? If we take a camera, and I've done this before, and you can look this up. If you took a camera from the U.S. to another country, or from say Europe to here, and even an electrical system, you can look at it this way: you need a different plug because of the electrical system is running on a different system. So, like, think of it as in frame rates. So if you take a picture with a camcorder, this happened back in the day, and you went overseas with a camcorder, and it was taking a picture at 60 frames a second, but the lighting system was on 40 frames a second, basically pulsing 40 times a second, you would have the outcome would be that it would look like the light was going on and off, but to the camera it looked like it was going on and off, but to your eyes it looked like it was on completely, because your eyes are literally imaging and taking pictures at a certain frame rate. Now that frame rate can be changed. And so what we see outside of us, and so we say, oh, there's no UFOs, or no, that's all going to be holographic, and I think that's part of the confusion too. See, if your eyes perceive 60 frames a second, and my eyes perceived 80 frames a second, I'd be seeing much more than you would be. Now, if someone was seeing 300 frames a second, whoa, they'd be seeing inside of spaces that you couldn't see. If right now light was flickering on and off, on and off, on and off, and you were following that pace of the light turning on and off, it would always look light to you. And there would be something in between those spaces that you couldn't see. But if someone else could see twice as fast as you, they'd see what you see plus in between those spaces. And then if someone's seen four times as fast as you, there'd be places that second person couldn't see, because there's spaces in between, because it's only a reference of what you think time is. Like, time doesn't really exist except for in the sense of how quickly can I get this information into my eyeballs. I mean, it's coming, not only you're ingesting biophotonic particles, but you're also spitting them out. And so this goes into a lot of my really early work on how you create reality. But it's also just in a basic concept of, as we're sitting here ingesting what we're seeing, what we're hearing, we can only hear certain sounds, certain things we can't hear, and there's certain things we can't see. But if we could see at a different rate, what we'd see is maybe there are UFOs. You know, people on people with the perception, oh no, the Earth is flat, there's no such thing as UFOs, it's an agenda, blah blah blah. Well, they're so stuck onto a flat Earth that they don't, it's, whether it's through whatever it might be, whether it's because of the Bible or because of like, oh no, we know that NASA's been lying or blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter. Maybe not. Maybe people in NASA, maybe most of them are just going along with it, but maybe some people in NASA actually know something. Maybe they can see better. Maybe they literally are seeing in between spaces, and maybe cameras are moving so quickly. If they're using better cameras that are shooting 1,000,000 frames a second, and you're using one that's 100 frames a second, well, they're seeing things that you can't see. And so, who knows? Like, I'm not saying who knows as in like a question mark. I'm saying there are people that can, if you take an ethnogen, if you take a psychedelic, you're seeing in a different frame rate. You're seeing different spaces. If you, what do you think shamans do? What do you think different people do? And this gets even to, like, I say, like, I was talking about autism in another video, and the way they hear and see and why they can't, the way lights work. Like, some people are comfortable walking into Walmart. It makes me want to vomit. There's some people that can walk into certain places and listen to certain kinds of music, and I can't listen to that music. It hurts my brain and it makes me feel awful. And there's certain things like, oh, did you see that? And like, no, I didn't see that. But 5 other people might not see it, but 2 people could see it because their eyes are functioning on a different frame rate. And literally, so when these people get stuck in this, okay, we're on a flat Earth, we're in a ball, and that's all there is to it. They're not understanding that even if there is a dome, let's just assume there's a dome. That dome still has a frequency to it. Let's say it's glass. Okay, that glass still has a frequency, and something can move through that glass. And maybe it's a spaceship that you can't see, but other people can. And it's actually because it's existing in what you'd call a different time space. And it just means it's in between the spaces that you can't see. So what UFOs are and how the mind works and how you perceive things, I don't know how to instruct or tell someone to see things different. You can't just be like, oh, just look right here, like a teacher. You can't just point to it and say, this is how it is. But there are certain things that you can do to clean up your body and your internal environment, your brain, so that you can actually adjust the way that you see. There's physical ways of doing it. There's obviously the dream world and the astral realms that will help you to get an idea, which will help to adjust your brain. But we need to start from the point of not everyone can see the same thing. Like, that's just it. Yeah, we have a consensus reality that when we walk into, we can walk into the grocery store. That we can here we are, we're at Trader Joe's, we're at whatever. We can see where we are. But there's also, in between those spaces, like, there's more going on. Like, the consensus reality we have is you could use Einstein, you could use a bunch of different people's quotes on reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one, because it persists because that's what we tend to navigate our belief system towards. They go, no, it's solid, that's the way it's got to be. Well, are you sure? Because you weren't sure about that when you were born into this earth, like through a womb, you weren't sure about anything. And if you leave the earth through whatever portal, like, I mean, and this is just like getting out of body and all of this. It's like how your eyes perceive and how your mind perceives things starts to adjust your reality. You could, I'm not saying to turn this back into a ball earth. I'm not saying to make it flat. I'm not saying to put yourself inside of an alchemical retort. It doesn't matter where you think you are. But there is certainly something in between the spaces that your eyes capture moment by moment. Like, there it is. And then somebody else is like flickering faster. And they can see things. So there's many ways to start to adjust perception. And here, I'm gonna do some giveaways soon. Because I've been gifted so many awesome things. I've noticed I have like, oh, why do I have 2 of these? Where did this thing come from? Oh, and I got some posters that are from some of my greatest teachers out here that are all about theta waves. I did some work way earlier on thetagrams, and they're not called thetagrams. They're called oh man, I forget the name. I forget what you'd call them, but they basically they're like where you cross your eyeballs, and you kind of get the picture to pop out off of the page. I don't know if you remember those 3D magic eye things that people were, back in the 1990s. Um, well, anyways, I got a bunch of things that I think I'll be doing some giveaways soon, and yeah, and again, don't worry, all of the information, all of my videos, that you're getting it all back and more. So, open up your mind. There are things in between spaces, and wonderful, strange. Just there's so much out there. Yeah. We'll talk soon, y'all. Hope you enjoyed that.